Hi guys, Luton here, and welcome back for some more Battlefield 4 preparation. Now today we're thinking about a concept that I've brought up many times previously, and that is OMF, or Objective Momentum Flexibility. This is a really key principle that I run by within Battlefield, and it's something that is worth learning and thinking about moving into Battlefield 4. What we're talking about in this is basically the idea of the way you perceive and think about things in the game. Objective, that needs to be your priority when you're in the game, thinking about the objective, how you can get to it, how you can defend it. Momentum, if you are attacking you need to have it, if you're defending you need to knock momentum out of the enemy, otherwise you'll suffer for it. And flexibility, being able to change between classes, change between roles as necessary. And it's a principle that really needs to come into play every single time you're in game. So straight away in this round, objective. Okay, my first thing is to defend the objectives, and that's what we're doing here. Momentum, you see how hard they're already pushing on these objectives, and then being flexible enough to get onto those vehicles because I'm prioritizing them, but at the same time be aware of what else is happening around me in the team and, change roles as necessary. Now you would notice as well there that I didn't run for that MCOM when it got armed. It's because you've got to think priority about what is actually happening in that situation. The vehicle has gone down now because that LAV was a huge threat to us, alright? If we hadn't taken down that LAV, then nobody would have been able to defend it. And I had to make a split-second decision there of my prioritization. Was I going to go for the MCOM defend? Was I going to go for the LAV? Obviously there, to me, the bigger threat is the LAV because there was other teammates there. Now if I run for that MCOM as soon as it gets armed before dealing with that threat, then it's almost irrelevant if I manage to get to the MCOM, because that LAV is just going to roll in and take us down. And that's really what we talk about when we're talking about, taking the momentum out of the enemy, preventing them from getting in onto you. Man, I got saved by my teammates there, but picked off at the same time. Alright, now today's an interesting one because I've split two rounds together. And the first one that we just saw is actually from my server, and the second one that we're going into now is just a completely random DICE server just played on normal rush. And the reason being that I wanted to try and show a balance and how gameplay can really be similar no matter where you play it, because a lot of people say, oh well, you've just picked a specific situation. I wanted to show here the principles changing between two different games played sort of simultaneously. So here we are coming to Kokand, we're right at the very beginning of the round. Again, I'm going to roll with the engineer class because I'm aware of the standard things that you need to deal with at the beginning of this round. Again, the objective, got to defend, momentum, got to take out those vehicles, flexibility, prepared to deal with whatever situation, okay? So here we go, we're going to get into the game here, and you'll see straight away how things change around, how they can be so very, very different. And already look at the huge amount of fire that we're taking here, and this is when you're thinking, okay, momentum. Right, the attacking team, they're pushing really fast, really hard. They want to get down here into the base. It's going to be our role to, defend the objective and prevent them from doing this. But at the same time, as I say, look, we've got people coming in here. As an engineer, I'm not just thinking about those vehicles. I'm trying to prevent them from getting the arm. But look at this, look at this. This is what I'm talking about when I say about vehicle prioritization. Also, look at the team imbalance right here. Okay, we're a little bit low on the teams. Not quite similar, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to be in a bad situation. There's no reason why we couldn't have held that objective there had we had the right people in the right places and worked together as a team to focus that vehicle down. I managed to get one round off on him, but it wasn't enough, and if maybe we had 2-3 people who had also put rounds into that LAV, we would have been able to destroy it and actually maintain defense of that objective. I'm working pretty hard here to be over at B and sort of try and keep these guys locked down. I'm sort of taking out targets as we go here, but they're pushing really, really fast, and this is why I say, you've got to keep those things in mind. You've got to be careful about where you're going there. My god, got saved so hard right there. So this kind of general principle, it should be kind of second nature, and this is why going into Battlefield 4, it's a perfect time right now to start putting these things into practice in game. Think about your objective. Think about what kind of momentum the enemy has. Think about flexibility. Are you always prepared to change class? Are you prioritizing enough in game? Are you looking at your surroundings? Taken down by the damn tank right there. Are you aware enough of your surroundings and the surroundings of your team? Because that's what we're really thinking of when it comes to flexibility. Looking at the situation and gauging what class you should be playing in order to best suit the objective of your team. Okay, totally missed that guy right there. Oh my god, it's Fireman. Oh, when I watch these gameplays back sometimes, and you're just like, yeah, here's the situation. Oh, I did not see that guy. I think this is an important thing to point out within the context of the game, that objective, tunnel vision, okay? Tunnel vision is so bad, and I suffer from it hugely because I'm very often so focused on one thing, I miss other elements right there. I was so worried about that tank right there, I totally missed Fireman coming in. But look at my, look at the point that I was making before about momentum and the tanks. We haven't put up enough of a defense against these vehicles, and look at them, they're punishing us for it. If we had just had more, a couple of extra guys putting some rounds into those things, but, we just can't compare when, they have 3 extra players right here. It gives them that little edge that we're talking about. But anyway, right, we're rolling back into game 1 now, and we've wound forward the gameplay a little bit. We're now back onto the second base in here, and they've just taken A, which leaves us back with the Bravo objective. But, as I say, another thing about OMF in general is that it's an important thing to kind of, take stock of a situation. So the first round didn't go too well, and look, they're already arming up B, but this is the time where you want to sort of consolidate the issues that you've been having and try and put those principles back into place, because sometimes, it doesn't matter how much you talk about something, it's very, very easy to forget certain things that you should be doing in a game, and I suffer from this just as much as anybody else. Sometimes you get caught up in the whole drama of the round that you're playing, the action that's happening, you get pulled into it, and then you forget about the kind of principles. This situation right here, right now, and we'll see it also on game 2, this is the time to sort of slow it down, assess your situation and go, okay, alright, we need to take a much better sort of stock of our situation. Think about what's actually going on here. Think about what is actually dangerous to us. Where do we need our players to be? What classes do we need to roll with? And if you've been running an inappropriate class and it didn't really happen for you on that first section, that first base, then that's the time to be flexible. Alright, if it didn't really happen, if it didn't really work and your team took a beating for it, then hey, you need to change that class so that you can best suit your objective and so that you can best knock the momentum out of the enemy. So this kind of, the role of these 3, priorities that you need to have going on is what's really going to help you to win rounds, and it's really going to help you to pull your team together. And we can see here that the team are starting to pull it together. People are starting to play in a slightly different way. They're spreading out more, they're playing in a better context, they're playing in a better class, and they're also helping to destroy those vehicles more effectively. Now it's true that I seem to be putting the majority of rounds on here, but the team is helping with, dropping those tanks, and we see that as the game goes on. And rolling back into game 2 here, and again, the same thing, we've been pulled back onto the base right here, and we're back onto the Bravo objective. Again, A often goes very, very fast, mainly because of the momentum of the attacking and the lack of momentum of the defending team. Often the defending team in this base is quite a large base, and they often don't move up to the objectives quickly enough in order to properly defend them, whereas the attacking team are quite close to that A objective. They move with a lot of fast momentum straight down that road there, they're straight onto that objective. So it leads us back in the same situation here of prioritization, flexibility. Got to get on those tanks, got to take those tanks down. If we don't, we're going to be totally screwed, and I'm doing my very, very best to sort of take these vehicles out right here. You can see we're taking an absolute beating. I was very aware that Gunner jumped out there, so I wanted to drop him at the same time. But look at this, they're pushing us right back onto the objective. I mean, how are we going to hold on to this game? How are we possibly going to hold on to it? Well, the guys do manage to get a defense, and now rolling forward again a little bit, you can see that we're still having enemy coming in from the back here, and again, this is all to do with being aware of your objective. Alright, look how many guys we've got here on the left hand side with the tank, and I'm positioned right back up on here. I've got to tell you as well, I wouldn't normally be in this actual situation, this actual position on the map. It's not something I regularly use. I was only up here for a few moments because I needed to get eyes on a couple of the guys moving forward, and also, I was very aware of the fact that, forward of this position, how I'm always talking about moving sort of just slightly forward from your objective in order to get onto it? Well, this actual position right here is one of those situations where that would not apply. The reason being is that this actually gives you a very good sort of line of sight onto the defensive objective. Okay, from here, and especially because I'm running RPGs, I can fire down very, very successfully onto that objective to hit targets coming in. It gives me a good line of sight. The other thing is, there's plenty of our actual team forward, okay, and this actually comes into another principle, the golden circle, which I always meant to make a video about and didn't, but I'm going to as part of my sort of battlefield preparation series to talk about the golden circle. It's basically the principle of the distance in which you need to remain around an objective in order to successfully control it. And with that in mind, basically you always want to have sort of the main majority of your force forward, but you always fail, fail. I remember this in game. I was like, no. You know when you do these things like instinctively, and I was just kind of like, fire, gotta get down, jump off, and I'm on the floor. That's why it's important to think straight when you're in game and not like epically fail. But anyway, so we got guys coming in here, working pretty hard to take them down, okay? See, they're pushing in real hard here. And like I say, the golden circle principle of sort of the distance and where you need to be around the objective really applies here in order to correctly position your team so that you can, you know, spot and lock down those targets. Back into game 1 here, and we're still suffering the same situation. They've pushed us back pretty hard. We've got people coming in all over the place. Got guys going for the objective here, and again working hard trying to keep these guys at close range. Right down onto one ticket, and it's really come down to the wire on this when people are pushing up. But by maintaining the principles of your objective, maintaining the principle of stopping them pushing forward. Remember from that first base down to here, they're moving so fast. They're pushing really hard, but keeping all the principles of OMF in place, you can control that situation provided you and your team work together to do so. Okay, and then coming up onto the last base for game 2 as well, trying to just control this right down to 16 tickets. We're sort of getting pushed back a little bit more now. They're pushing in a lot harder. Guys coming up from all positions up on the rooftops and on the ground, and we're doing our damn best to keep this all locked down and under control. But again, see how they've started pushing harder again, so they've got a little bit more momentum, pushing in much faster, and this often happens towards the end of a game when people don't have a lot left to lose. You know, they start throwing themselves a lot faster, a lot harder at the objective itself, and that's why, again, you know, your positioning as a team and your flexibility, you know, especially in the last moments. Again, you might have been playing a certain role up to this point, but remember, when it comes right down to the wire at the very end of the round, you might need to change up your role in order to defend that situation. You might also need to change your position, and I'm taking mortifier, so I'm getting the hell out of there. Get out of the door, my friend. There we go. That's going to be an entire video in itself, I think, door defense. But anyway. So yeah, we've managed to keep things under control here, despite things being a little bit more chaotic towards the end here, getting taken out there by Mop. And like I say, if you can keep those principles in mind where you're playing, it will really help you out. It's not going to always apply, it's not always going to be the best thing for you in every situation, but as a basic principle, it will allow you to sort of create a fundamental foundation in order to be more successful in the games. And often that's what it's all about, is just keeping your head clear, thinking straight. And from what I often see in games when I look back and review for myself, that's often when things fall apart. When you get too caught up in the action that's going on, or you're not thinking clearly, that's when things start to just fall apart. Keep it clear in your head. Objective, momentum, flexibility. If you can just run with those 3 principles in game, you will have much more successful games. And if you can work with that with the guys that you regularly play with the people that you actually engage with in the game, then again, you are a much more successful, cohesive unit, and you'll be able to defend and attack much more successfully. Thanks for watching today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, drop it a like, and I have much more Battlefield 4 preparation videos coming up very soon. Remember to start putting these things into practice right now, okay? When you're in game now in Battlefield 3, it's great when this lull, people can mess around, but it's a good time to brush up on these fundamental principles which will make you a better player, a stronger player going into Battlefield 4. See you next time, guys.